Hello, my love. Welcome to the Desire Devotee, your digital temple, where ancient tantric wisdom meets futuristic pleasure technology. This is the space where you get to receive transmissions, hands-on tutorials, ceremonial rituals, and embodied guidance to elevate your love life, your sex life, and your relationships. I am a certified love, sex, and relationship coach with a master's degree in integrative health coaching, and I am here to bridge the paradigms and bring you the truth to elevate your love life. So if you feel the resonance in your body, sweetheart, make sure to subscribe, like this video, or share it with a friend, as it truly does support my mission. And if you want to go deeper, visit alfina.cissociety.world or follow the link in the show notes to take my erotic archetype quiz, unlock your sexual superpowers, and join my email list so you can stay in the pulse of all of the pleasure. Now, without further ado, welcome to the Desire Devotee. Welcome back to Desire Devotee. My name is Alfina. I am a love, sex, and relationship coach and pleasure priestess here to bring the transmission through today. So this is a topic that I feel very passionate about and that I have personally been experiencing for the last few years now, which is this idea of love beyond boundaries, love beyond names and titles, and love beyond these categories that we try to place them into. So there's so much talk right now on Instagram, on YouTube, online around polyamory, monogamy, swinging, open relating. There's all these different categories, right, that people try to place love into. Are you this way? Are you that way? And not only that, but then there's so much debate and division and sectioning off from this is the enlightened way, right? This is the better way to be. This is the more spiritual way. This is the holier way. This is the evolved way. And there's a lot of judgment and there's a lot of war that goes on between these different groups of people. And it's just so interesting because humans have this uncanny ability to find what's different in each other so much more easily than what's the same. And we also have this psychological desire to really understand ourselves and others in the easiest way possible. We try to simplify things so our brain can more easily dissect, understand, and analyze ourselves and the world around us. So I have a psychology major as well, and so something I learned in that degree was that our brain works in the form of schemas, meaning that we will organize people into boxes because and things and ideas into boxes because it allows us to simplify the world around us and the people around us. However, when it comes to relationships, love, sexuality, and really anything, it's never really that simple. It's usually very complex, and people are very complex by nature, right? How can we say that like the way that every single person loves fits into like 2 or 3 or 4 categories? I think that's just insane, honestly. I feel like it's very limiting. And I feel like it's yet another way that we have just been dividing ourselves. And then as soon as we put ourselves in this box, now there's all these implicit expectations about who we are and how we're supposed to act and who we're supposed to be with. And people start to judge us and make ideas about us based off these titles, right? And then we end up really looking at the other approach. It's so easy to look at, okay, well, if I'm monogamous, then polyamory must be crazy and wrong. Or if I'm polyamorous, monogamy must just be old school and boring. We start to make these judgments against each other, and we start to really become more and more divided. And this is the problem with titles. And again, I'm just going to say that before anyone gives me hate for this, like, yes, titles and words, as a South Node Gemini, 3 planets in Gemini, I love words, don't get me wrong. I feel like they are really helpful for assigning meaning and creating a sort of baseline identity and allowing us to kind of like see a road post and go, okay, that's the direction of my like resonance, and I'm gonna like walk in that direction. So it's great for that, right? However, when it comes to like really coming into individual identity and what we call in the age of Aquarius, the age of individuation, we are all so uniquely different and unique blueprints, and we hold unique blueprints. And so when it comes to something like love and relating, we all have a unique blueprint. And when we just put ourselves in one category, it can really limit us from experiencing the authentic fullness of all of our desires, of the nature that we're always changing, we're always evolving. Who we are today is not who we are tomorrow, is not who we are next year, is not who we are 10 years from now. And the problem with a lot of these titles too is that, specifically around monogamy, is that much of this is implicitly inherited, meaning people don't even question who they are, what identity they have when it comes to relationships, or maybe even like gender roles, right? Like, I'm just straight, I'm just monogamous because that's the norm, that's what my parents were, that's what I see on TV, that's what culture normalizes and condones. So that's what I am, right? And without even really questioning, like, wait, but like, what if the reason I've cheated in 3 relationships, this is not my true story, it's just an example, is because I actually experience love with more than one person simultaneously? Or what if, oh, maybe I am actually attracted to men and women, and I can find beauty and connection and sexual attraction to both, even if that's against my Christian household teachings of what's okay. And so we start to unravel these identities that were given to us. And again, if you decide like, hey, I'm monogamous, I'm straight, that's beautiful. There's like literally nothing wrong with that at all. All I'm saying is, I think that's very normal too. All I'm saying is that it's important that we get to these places through our own evaluation, really evaluating, asking ourselves, is this the way that I'm choosing to be in relationship because it's authentic for me, because I've actually analyzed and looked at my life and tried other options and been curious? Or is it just because I'm repeating the same stories, the same relationship patterns that I've seen in generations before me, in my family, in my lineage, in my religion, in pop culture, in my friend groups? And that can go both ways. Like, if you grew up in a very open, polyamorous, polygamous family, for instance, then you might think, oh, that's just the way love is. And then maybe you just inherit that, and later on you decide, oh, actually I really want monogamy. That feels more aligned for me. So this can go both ways, but in general, we live in a more monogamous culture and heterosexual culture. So we are moving into an age of individuation. And what happens is, when we put ourselves into these boxes, we are basically saying to ourselves and to everyone around us, this is what you should expect from me. This is how I love. This is what it looks like. And this is what I'm available for. And the problem with that is that even if we don't even realize we're doing this to ourselves, it can be extremely limiting. Because the truth is that there are a million ways to do love and relationships, and every single one of them can look unique. Every single relationship agreement with another person can look extremely different from another, because every single one of us loves in a different way. And not only that, but when you come into connection with another person, let's just say it's your partner, the way they love is also different. And so when you come together with your own unique love blueprints, you're creating an entirely new love blueprint together now. So now we're going from individuation to hyper individuation through collaboration and connection. And on top of that, the fact is that we are always evolving, we're always changing, we're maturing, our lives are changing. Sometimes we go through more internal parts of our lives, of our relationships, where it's more of that winter season, where we just need more rest, where maybe we're doing some deep healing, maybe we just need more containment. And so we create agreements that honor that containment, that maybe it feels like more of a monogamous, if we want to call it that, period of the relationship. And then maybe there's other periods of relationship with people where we feel more external, more open, more sensual, more explorative, more curious. And we have agreements around that in relationship that can evolve and change and transform with us, as we are always evolving and changing and transforming as individuals and throughout our unions or our relationships. And then you can make agreements that maybe they look more open or more poly or whatever we want to call it. This is what I'm saying. It's so nuanced. So what I'm really feel so passionate about is kind of moving beyond the labels and really getting into the heart of every single connection and every single relationship and every single being and their unique imprint and blueprint of love, and what really works for them and what they desire and what they need at every stage of the relationship. So for instance, I am in an open relationship with my partner. We've been together for 2.5 years. And if you looked back at our relationship, it's looked so different. We have written and rewritten agreements multiple times, like 4 different times, I think, 3 or 4 different times. We've added things, subtracted things, tweaked things. We've had periods of our relationship that have been super polyamorous, where we had other lovers and dated other people and had sexual connections with other people. We've had periods of our relationship that have looked more like swinger or open, where we've played in group dynamics and had threesomes and foursomes and play parties and all these things. And then we've had serious parts of our relationship that have looked more monogamous, where it's just been the two of us, super cozy, super comfy, only having sex with each other, only really being sexual with each other, and done really deep healing in those times as well. And then we've had times where it kind of just feels like it kind of moves and shifts in between all of it. And I feel so liberated in this way of relationship, because I thought that I had to choose. I thought I had to choose an identity, like, okay, this is what I am and this is now what I'm committing to all the time. Like, okay, I'm a vegan, so I'm never gonna eat meat. And for instance, like for me, I actually am not feeling called to eat meat right now, but I would never be like, I'm never gonna eat meat. It's just like I'm intuitively listening to my body and what I need. And if I feel like I need meat one day, I'll eat the meat. But for right now, my body's saying you don't need that. I'm eating some eggs. This is just an example of just like, how could we get out of these black and white mindsets a little bit more and realize that everything is fluid, everything is on a spectrum, everything is evolving, everything is changing, everything is growing. And when we really like pigeonhole ourselves to a certain identity or label, we're actually kind of stunting our ability to dig deeper into our authentic truth that is emerging in every moment, in every situation. And we're also kind of limiting ourselves from the full expression of what wants to come through. And we're basically saying, this is who I am now. We're kind of stunting our ability to evolve in the way that we could fully evolve if we actually allowed ourselves to be beyond the binary, beyond the label. And this goes for like gender too, right? Like, instead of just saying I'm straight or I'm gay or I'm bisexual, like if we could look at the whole spectrum. Like there might be times in our life where we felt more straight and where we felt more gay or where we felt more bisexual, and it's kind of like this spectrum that kind of like moves, right? Like, oh, depending on who I'm connecting with and like what my attraction is for them, maybe I'm more bisexual in this situation and other times I'm more heterosexual. This is just an example. It's not exactly the same as what I'm talking about, but it's this idea that we are fluid, we are evolving, and when we can allow our relationships to also do the same thing, then something really beautiful happens. Is that when we can be so honest with, hey, this is like what I need right now. I'm not saying this is what I'm gonna need forever or this is who I am forever, like, because I know that things are always changing. But hey, like, this is what I value. This is what I need. These are my boundaries. These are my non-negotiables. And if you can be really honest about what those things are without letting some other system define those for you, but being like going within and being like, what are those to me? And then your partner does the same thing, and you come together, and then you create relationship agreements and boundaries based off of those inner truths. So instead of being like, okay, well, we're just monogamous, so we don't do anything with anyone else, like we don't even dance with anyone else. What if you were able to? I'm so excited to share one of the most transformative online tools that has completely revolutionized my self-pleasure journey. OMG, yes. Until the last 2 years, I struggled my entire life to orgasm on my own without a toy. I felt broken and hopeless. But within 2 weeks of starting this course, you guys, I had my first orgasm from my own touch. And I was like, hallelujah! And I can say that it's only gotten better and wetter from there in every way. OMGS is a fun, user-friendly, and amazing course that's packed with videos, techniques, and interviews that completely shift the way that you experience pleasure. So whether you struggle with orgasms or just want to amplify your pleasure, this course is a game changer. So you can click the link in the show notes to unlock your pleasure through our affiliate code today. Or vice versa, right? Like we're polyamorous, so we just have relationships, we date other people, we have sex with other people. What if you just kind of like, and this is something I've done, is I said, you know what? I want to like really look into all the different ways of relating and see what I resonate with about all of them. Because my feeling was that there was pieces of all of them that I liked and I resonated with. And then pieces of all of them that I didn't like and I did not resonate with. And what I'm finding is that it's really about our values that should be informing the way that we relate over expected norms around a label or a title, especially because people do monogamy in a million different ways and people do polyamory and open relating in a million different ways. And so if we try to just put ourselves into a box, it can really be confusing and limiting. So I went, okay, what do I value? What do I resonate with in every single one of these ways of relating? And I went through, I was like, oh, well, I really like the security and the safety and the like that devotion, right? Like the devotion that comes through the monogamy. But then I also really love like the curiosity and the exploration and the open-heartedness of polyamory. And then I also really like the novelty and like a shared pleasure of openness, sharing with my partner. So how do I create my own relationship agreements that I get all of those things, like where I get to feel safe and devoted to, but also where I get freedom and play and exploration? And so basically this is how my partner and I have been creating the relationship where we say we can have it all, because I really do believe you can have it all, but you have to know what it all means for you. You have to be able to question all of the different areas of all the different ways that you can do it. And maybe you have to experiment. Maybe you try something and it doesn't work. Maybe you just intuitively feel called to, try something different and it really works. So this is really fun because as a love, sex, and relationship coach, I really want to encourage everyone to find out what works for them. And also in that exploration, to not get too attached to what's working for you today. Because like I said, just in 2.5 years, what worked for us 2.5 years ago is not what we're doing right now. It's different. What worked for us a year ago is not what we're doing right now. It's different. It's continued to evolve. It's continued to change. And sometimes it's not linear. I don't think it's really ever linear. Sometimes it looks like, okay, we're just going to be sexual with each other because there's some wounding and healing and sensitivities coming up, and that's what we need right now. And sometimes it might look like, okay, let's go to this like tantric play party together and have fun. But we have these boundaries, like we are not going to have penetrative sex with anyone else, but we're open for other realms of sexuality and sensuality. These are just some examples. Or maybe it's just like our agreements in a relationship is that we are only sexual with each other, but we are sensual and sweet and cuddly with other people. Or maybe it's like, okay, we're completely free birds and you do whatever you want and I do whatever I want all the time. I don't know. I don't really think that it's all the time. I think that we're always changing, even people who are in like in this way. And if we were authentic, right? If we were authentic and we checked in with each other, I think that we would see that the ways that we relate would be shifting and changing and moving and growing and evolving with us and what we need. And so in my experience, the more healing that I did this last year on my womb, I did the deepest healing work that I've ever done, like on deep trauma stored in my body, in my womb, connecting to sexual trauma from my childhood and religious imprinting around shame and all these things. And what this ended up doing for me in my relationship was making me realize that I needed more containment. I needed more safety. I needed more protection. And so that led us to kind of going into this period of really like, yeah, just creating that container, that like couple bubble, right? And we always had our hearts open. We always were sensual with other people. We were always loving. It was never like we turned off the love. We just like created different boundaries and agreements around our sexual expression. And my partner was so loving and gracious with me and gave me that. And I did really deep healing. We actually both did extremely deep healing around different wounds that we were carrying. And then what happened was, as I started to really heal those wounds and kind of come out of that, I started to realize, okay, I'm feeling a lot more centered. My nervous system feels more secure than it's ever felt. I'm feeling like I can actually hold more space to be more open and explore. And working through all these different like unworthiness wounds and deservingness wounds to now be in a place where like we're opening up, but with different boundaries than we had before. So like, yeah, let's open up, but also I have these certain boundaries in place that actually make me feel safer to open. So it's like this simultaneous process of opening while also having better boundaries and discernment than ever before. And that's the thing, like that's the ironic thing, is like when we feel safe, we actually open more. So sometimes it's not just about open. Sometimes we need to go backwards, and we need to actually contain. And for a lot of women specifically who've had a lot of sexual abuse and trauma, I believe that sometimes open relating can be another way of perpetuating the sexual trauma of just like openness and not asserting the boundaries that we need. And then when we're able to really assert the boundaries that we need, then actually it can become like open relating can become an extremely empowering way of relating. But everyone is different. Not everyone wants to do that. For some people, what's most empowering is saying, hey, I actually don't want to do open relating. I want to be monogamous, and I don't want us to be romantic with anyone else. And sometimes, like when we do our healing, we're like, oh my God, I have no shame. I have no fear. I'm completely open. Let's go to all the orgies. So there's like so many different ways that this can manifest. And again, like you're going to change. So it's really about being clear with who you are in the moment getting so curious and attuned to what you actually need, where you actually are, sharing that with your partner, creating mutual agreements that work for both of you for that period of time, and then reassessing them as you need to reassess them as things change, as different situations arise, as different opportunities come into your life, as you meet different people, have different experiences. And so, yeah, this is my heart and soul, is really around just reminding people that we are also individual, and you don't need to label yourself as anything. When someone asks me like, what's your relating style, I honestly just am like, I'm open-hearted. I'm an open-hearted being that loves the way I love. And yeah, sometimes I use words like open or poly or whatever, but honestly, it's like, that's just to kind of help people kind of understand me. I feel like I'm all of it. I feel like I have monogamous pieces of me, and then I have more poly pieces of me, and I have more open pieces of me, and I'm just me. I'm just me, and I just love the way I love, and I'm open to that changing, and I'm open to that evolving as I change, as I evolve. And as long as I'm being real with myself and being honest with what feels good and communicating that to the people I'm connecting with and my partner, then call it whatever you want. And so, yeah, I do believe that this is the new paradigm. I honestly fully believe that the new paradigm is just moving beyond these titles, moving beyond the separation, moving beyond the ego that wants to understand and categorize, and moving into this place of more fluidity, openness, acceptingness for who we are as individuals, and allowing our values, our boundaries, our non-negotiables, and our needs to actually more inform the relationship patterns and styles that we're in than anything else. And really understanding we can customize our love. We can customize it. We can create it however we want. We can literally, we're creating the recipe. Oh, we want lovers, but we don't want other girlfriends and boyfriends. Okay, we want to have these experiences, but we don't want to have those experiences. We want to have these types of people, but not those types of people. You can literally choose whatever you want. You don't have to do it the way that you've seen. You don't have to do it the way that you've been told. Even if it feels alternative, your alternative. You are your own alternative. You are the one that's consciously evolving. You get to choose whatever you want. So I really encourage you to live the life that is most authentically yours, to go beyond the norm, to push the status quo, to not do it the same way that everyone else is doing it, or that your social media influencers are doing it. Even if they're alternative, guess what? The most alternative thing that you can do is live your own life authentically yours and pave your own pathway. And honestly, I don't really see that many people like me talking about this. I see a lot of people still really standing behind this way or that way. But what I'm saying is, feel into your heart. Feel into your genitals. Like, what is your own way? What is your own authentic way? And maybe we don't have that many role models for what I'm saying. Maybe there's not that many people out there because it's an unknown pathway. It requires more self-awareness. It requires more critical thinking. It requires more communication and checking in with yourself and others. However, in my opinion, it is the pathway of truest, deepest authenticity, fulfillment, and liberation to be all of yourself and to really have the exact dream relationships and life that you really want. So, yeah, I pray that this message resonates with you in some way, that there's some nugget of wisdom that you can take with you. It's my electrolytes. And that this blesses your journey and helps to open your mind and your heart and your body to possibilities beyond what you could even think of. It's like, instead of having to choose A, B, C on a test, you get to choose D, which is all of the above, plus more options that you don't even know are available to you. And that's what I really would love to leave you with, is that you are the creator. You can create whatever reality you want. You can create your dream reality. It's all in you. You make the rules, you make the decisions. Good luck and enjoy the ride.